about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc-Dali, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So it's always something different every day. This morning, we're told that we have 3 asteroids, which are going to be zooming pretty close. We're fine, but pretty close approach to the Earth. And, you know, I'm kind of following these asteroid stories because I'm not really big on outer space. I don't ever want to go to Mars. I'm fine if I don't fly in a spaceship. I kind of like being grounded. I think it was watching Superman 2 when I was little and seeing how people died when the bad guy took or the woman who was the bad guy, you know, ripped off the NASA or the USA patch, and then air went into his suit. And although he would have died differently because of the lack of gravity and because of the pressures, it would have been a lot more violent than what we saw in the movie. But I just ever as a kid, I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm fine. All right. Earth is good. I'm good. But I do find it interesting how we're hearing about more and more of these near misses. Now, is it just because we have more transparency these days, and so NASA will let us know because they want to tweet and stuff, and they're like, look, guys, this is what we're working on. We're not, sleeping on the job. We're on site. We're doing our work. This is what we're watching. Is it that they want to let us know that they're doing their job? Or do we really have more asteroids coming closer and closer to the Earth? Is the solar system getting kind of busy? Is it getting busier? Is it getting more crowded? We know the Earth is getting more crowded. Is the solar system getting more crowded? So they say one of these asteroids is going to come within 77,200 miles of our planet. Yeah, 77,000. Right. We're fine. This is roughly 1/3 of the average distance between the Earth and the Moon. This is being reported by Daily Mail. The asteroid is called 2025 CF. It's an estimated 12 feet wide and has not had a close encounter with the Earth since 2013. So it's been around for a while. The space rock will make another flyby January 2033. There's 2 other space rocks, 2025 CD and 2025 CE. I kind of like the fact that these are a little easier to name. Remember, they were naming planets and all sorts of things, BW8417 hashtag. You were like, what the hell is this? So at least this is a little easier to report on. The 2025 CD is 22 feet in width, and the 2025 CE is 43 feet wide. So they're about the size of a bus. That won't be earth-shattering if, God forbid, they hit, but it could affect a city pretty badly. They say 2 more bus-sized asteroids are going to zip through Earth's cosmic neighborhood today, but they're going to be millions of miles away, so they don't want anybody to panic. But 2025 CD asteroid is going to be 396,000 miles away, and 2025 CE will be 680,000 miles away. Now, these were recently discovered from a main asteroid belt located between Mars and Jupiter. According to NASA, more than 1 million asteroids travel around the sun within this belt, following elliptical orbits and often rotating erratically as they go. Well, if they rotate erratically, they could still be in orbit. I remember learning about all this in school. The extent of astronomy that I know was when we had our 9 planets. And you would use the acronym or the saying, my very educated mother just served us 9 pizzas, right? So Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, my very educated mother just Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. And I was good. I'm like, I could be an astronaut now. I know our 9 planets. I have it memorized. I'm good. And all of a sudden we found out, oh, no, there's a lot more. There's a lot more. In fact, interestingly, there was a planet next to the moon. We had a crescent-shaped moon the other night. I was walking the dog, and there was a planet. I don't know if that was Jupiter. Pretty cool. You guys know more about this than I do. But I'm just kind of wondering, is this something we need to be a lot more cautious? I mean, are we actually looking at with all the possibilities? You know what I mean? Earth is pretty big, but I get in the solar system, it's small. But with all the possibilities and erratic rotation and all these elliptical orbits, is there that tendency for things to hit? Or with our space travel and, trying to send people to the moon and go back and forth, are we going to mess up some of these orbits? Right now, things are pretty static because you don't have a lot of spacecraft and other things. Whatever we're doing is still pretty close enough to Earth. But once we start to go to Mars, which we've been doing, you just wonder if there's going to be a change. And I mean, I understand I have a pretty extensive science background, but it's not in astronomy, as you can all see. So these flybys are harmless. We don't want anybody to panic. There's enough stuff to worry about right now. But, the agency's Planetary Defense Coordination Office is keeping an eye on these things. They're called near-Earth objects, or NEOs. And they look at these, including asteroids and other things, to monitor their impact. And the agency has detected one space rock that may have a slight chance of hitting Earth in the near future. Now, that rock is a 2024 YR4, implying that was named in 2024. It's 200 feet wide, so a little bigger, and currently has more than a 1% chance of directly hitting the Earth. Now, they have a typo here. They have December 22, 2023. I don't think that's right. I have to look up what the date is. My guess is it's obviously not the past, especially since it was found. Let me see what I can do to look that up, because that is obviously one of concern. 200 feet. Okay, hold on a second. Let me see what I could find. By the way, I'm having trouble with this Microsoft Bing. 2032. I knew that was a typo. Okay, so 2032. So this is my recommendation. Don't fire anybody from NASA. Make sure everybody from NASA is doing their job. Can we please ensure that we don't have anything hit the Earth? And if so, can we do kind of what they did in Armageddon, where we get Bruce Willis and his crew to do something? 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians, only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Here back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So one of the biggest headlines today is how Elon Musk, Doge was run by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, but from what we understand, Vivek Ramaswamy kind of quietly left that partnership. I think he wants to run for Ohio governor. So now when you see Doge, it's primarily Elon Musk. And apparently the recommendation from Elon Musk was to shut down U.S. aid. USAID, the acronym USAID, is the U.S. Agency for International Development. Now, when you try to look up, the site's already down. I was able to catch a little bit of it where it talks about how money is going to, countries to help them with health care and other issues and other internal development that they need. But one of the issues that was brought up from the Doge umbrella was, why is this money going outward when some of this money is needed domestically? I think Elon Musk tweeted, do any other countries tax their citizens to give money to the U.S., as opposed to the U.S. is taxing their citizens to give money to other countries? And being a physician, I'm kind of mixed on these things, because on one end, our healthcare system is struggling. However, if we can remain isolated from other major medical outbreaks, as you saw what happened with COVID, that let loose in China. And, whether the World Health Organization did their job or not, somebody dropped the ball. We get it, and now we're affected. So it makes sense that when you, from a healthcare standpoint, see outbreaks of Ebola or other things, Mpox, happening in other countries, you do what you can to ensure that the fight is something that can be held up, whether it's through vaccines, whether it's through education or condoms, so that your country doesn't get affected. Because we learned with COVID very easily that it'll hit all of us. There's what happens on one side of the world could very easily and very quickly come to the other side of the world, especially with all the travel and proximity. It's not as isolated as it was centuries ago. On the other end, we're hearing that there's fraud within the money, and there's fraud expenditures, that there's corruptness from some of the country. Like, for example, there's been reports, and I don't know if these are U.S. aid funds, but we send money to Afghanistan and the Taliban takes it. How do we know if the resources we're sending to Palestinians in Gaza are getting it past Hamas, if Hamas is taking? So there's a lot of questions as to, are the funds going to what they need to go to? So I like the slow your roll type of attitude, as it pertains to bills. Let's figure this out. Let's figure out what we're doing. But I understand in government, things work slowly. And when you see things shut down this drastically, okay, why is that? Why did Trump freeze foreign aid? Well, and so my guess is there was some, and I can't, put myself into the mind of Trump, but my guess is there was fraud assumed, or there was a spigot that was going on, and he felt that the only way to stop it was just to stop everything. And so just like what we're going to be seeing with the changes in the government and the layoffs, there's going to be some good people lost. But this is his way of eliminating, things that might be negative. So this U.S. aid, from all I could gather online, because much of it is now offline, is the U.S. Agency for International Development. They say is the principal U.S. agency to extend assistance to countries recovering from disaster, trying to escape poverty, and engaging in democratic reforms. So it's a big agency. But do we continue to do the funding and then figure out from within, or do we just stop it and then regroup and see what's happening? Trump seems to be the type of leader who's like, well, let's just stop it and then we'll figure out and then we'll hear. Just like what happened with the foreign aid. He froze foreign aid and then you had nonprofits going, we're having some issues here. Then we saw, the Medicaid, portals went off temporarily. Not sure why, but those got fixed. So, I like I said, I'm mixed. I like let's figure out what we're doing first. Apparently there was, we've heard about COVID-19 money fraud. That doesn't mean that the COVID-19 assistance needed to never happen, but we should have done it better. We're being told that a Syrian national has been charged with diverting $9 million of U.S.-funded humanitarian assistance to a terrorist organization affiliated with al-Qaeda. Now, this came from the Office of Inspector General during Biden's term. And so there was a 53-year-old Syrian national who has now been charged for diverting United States aid money that was supposed to be a U.S.-funded humanitarian aid package intended for Syrian civilians to go to combatant groups, including the Al-Nusra Front, which is designated as a foreign terrorist organization. So this was under the Biden Office of Inspector General. So when these things happen, what's the best way to handle it? Should we just stop everything and just regroup? Or do we, do you pick and choose? And so I think Trump is of the mindset to let's just stop it, figure out what's going on. And a lot of people are concerned about the power Elon Musk has. Elon Musk is a very interesting figure. He obviously understands money. He also knows how to make money. He also is an advocate for free speech. On the other end, these moves, start to make people kind of question, does he know exactly what some of the sequelae could be? And, some of the quotes we have as it pertains to the U.S. aid is, hold on a second. He said that unlike an apple contaminated by a worm, the agency is a bowl of worms. He says there is no apple and it's beyond repair. And so, he says U.S. aid, it was a viper's nest of radical left Marxists who hate America. We spent the weekend feeding U.S. aid to the wood chipper, he said. Could have gone to some great parties, did that instead. So the pros and cons are, on one end, if we do have medical issues that need to be addressed, especially if we're pulling out of the World Health Organization, what agency now takes that on? Is it the CDC? Is it on the other end? When we have millions and millions of individuals who are in poverty, who are homeless, who are, not getting the proper health care, when do we decide to help ourselves domestically? It's interesting. In medical school, when we would get sick, I got pneumonia, I got mono, we were told, look, you are no good to your patients if you aren't well. Whenever there's an emergency and there's, a electrical failure or there's a flood or whatever, they always say, look, it's not being selfish to take care of yourselves because you are no good to the first responders if you yourself become a victim. And so the attitude right now of this administration is, we need healing. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but if we have, homeless veterans and homeless people, and we have poverty, and we have, issues with wildfire and people displaced, and we have lack of hospital infrastructure, why are we sending millions of dollars that could be forwarded forwarded to terrorist groups or contaminated with fraud when that money could be used domestically? And that's one of the reasons why Trump got elected. That sort of thinking was very logical to a lot of people, thinking we got to fix our own domestic woes. So I think we'll know more. I mean, right now, from what we're told, the workers at USAID were told not to come in. All right. I don't know if they're going to get leave. I don't know if this is a furlough. I don't know if they're going to get, moved over to other agencies. But from what we understand right now, the headquarters is closed. They're going to reevaluate, take a look at what money is being spent. And if they do find that money was inappropriately allocated, if money was fueling fraud or terrorist groups, and the money that was supposed to go to individuals who need help wasn't, there's going to be some hell to pay. and we're going to be hearing about it. I always like the idea of giving the actual things needed. So if condoms are needed, let's say in Gaza, send the condoms. Don't send money for condoms. If vaccines are needed in foreign countries for COVID, send the vaccines. This way, that product is going there, and then there's less room for fraud with the money. But we'll know more as we get more. 1-877 Doc Daliah. Don't go away.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So the U.S. Embassy and consulates in Mexico are warning U.S. citizens to avoid travel to certain parts of Mexico because of the rise in violent crime. Keep in mind, we got spring break coming. And so as many students are going to be starting to gear up towards spring break next month, I think spring break comes March, April, that whole sort of spring period. The embassy is advising Americans to avoid travel to 6 Mexican states: Colima, Guerrero, Michoacan, Sinaloa, Tamaulipas, and Zacatecas. I'm sorry about my pronunciation. Why? Because there's crime and kidnapping. It's also advising them to reconsider travel to 7 more, including Baja California, Chihuahua, and Sonora, due to the same concerns. They say Tamaulipas, Baja California, and Sonora are all along the U.S.-Mexico border. Tamaulipas includes Reynosa, a border region that the State Department says is known for organized crime activity, including gun battles, carjackings, and kidnappings. They say the warnings for Mexico's worst visited areas, according to Travel Market Report, include Campeche, which includes Mexico City, and Yucatan, which includes Cancun and Tulum. They have not been upgraded, but still remain at a level of exercise normal precautions. So this is interesting. So as you know, Trump, for those of you who saw the breaking news, Trump was going to impose tariffs this weekend on Mexico, and he had a discussion with Mexico's president. And from what I understood, it was a nice conversation, and they have agreed to stall the tariffs by 1 month if Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum pledges to reinforce Mexico's northern border by sending 10,000 troops to the area. In return, Trump will stem the flow of high-powered weapons into Mexico. Now, I know things might be a little ugly in the beginning with the stock market going up and down, etc. But I got to tell you, I would like to make Mexico great again. And I know some of you guys are laughing about that, but when you hear of American tourists dying, in fact, one of my good friends was abducted and killed in Cabo. It shouldn't be like that. When I hear people saying, oh, I want to go to Mexico, but it's too dangerous. Why is it too dangerous? Well, cartels and crime organizations. And why is that happening? And all people can say is, well, the Mexican government has to have an agreement. Like in Puerto Vallarta, they say that the tourist locations because Mexico needs tourist dollars. There's like an agreement where the cartels leave them alone, and then we leave the cartels alone. And you hear all these rumors. And meanwhile, more and more Americans are like, I'm scared of going. And if Mexico is smart, if the president is smart, she might work with Trump on how to make this better. You know how horrifying it is to know that many Mexican residents are getting trafficked and defrauded and robbed and raped trying to make it to America? And Trump wants to stop the flow of fentanyl. He wants to stop the flow of cartel members and crime and illegal immigration. But in return, he's going to stem the flow of high-powered weapons into Mexico. Now, Trump has enough issues to deal with America, but I got to tell you, this might be the first step to starting to make Mexico safe again. It's got to be horrifying that such a beautiful country with such amazing culture and such amazing people are stereotyped as a cartel haven. I mean, I always want to travel to Mexico. I tell the kids, I speak Spanish as fluently as I can. It's a beautiful. We had our honeymoon, my husband and I, in Cancun. Thought Cabo was fantastic. Love Puerto Vallarta. But we keep hesitating because it's too dangerous. And here we are with warnings from the State Department. Be careful. There are areas in Mexico that we cannot guarantee your safety. Actually, in most of these countries, you cannot guarantee the safety. And maybe this could be a turning point. So in the 11th hour negotiations with Mexico and Canada, Trump said he spoke to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who's still in power, I think, until March because he's resigning. They're going to speak again later today. But tariffs are not something any country wants. Canada doesn't want it, Mexico doesn't want it, and the U.S. doesn't want it. Especially as it pertains to our medicines and our fuel and lumber and all sorts of other things that we get. We have relationships with these countries. But what Trump is eliciting is if they're not doing their job, well, we just can't control the trafficking. We can't control cartel members coming over. We can't control Americans getting killed. Then he's like, well, then why are we working with you? You're no good to us. Canada and Mexico need America. And America does need Trump and Canada. For now, until we get more independent, we share a border. And if we could figure out how to work together and make a deal that helps both sides. Now, people say, look, wouldn't this help Mexico to also help reinforce the border? It can. Absolutely. But, we don't know all the reasons why, just go. You're coming up through Central America. You're coming to Mexico. You're spending money in our economy, and then you're not staying here. That's exactly what we need. Dump your money and run. And maybe that's why they've been so lenient. And so that's why Trump decided that he had to make those moves. But as a doctor, we have so many limitations and threats on our licensing as it pertains to writing pain medication. And we're seeing patients in so much pain that they're committing suicide or they're going to black market drugs to handle their pain, or they're trying to use marijuana or other substances to squash their pain. Meanwhile, overdose deaths are rising. It's not all the doctors writing medications that are causing our problems. It's the border. And it's fentanyl coming in and other even stronger narcotics. So somebody has to do something. I speak to doctors. They're like, look, I haven't written a narcotic in 2016. Most doctors haven't, and here the numbers are rising because it wasn't your family doctor or your dentist. Mind you, there's some jerks There were some pill mills, and those doctors are getting caught and they're going to jail for doing pill mills. But the average doctor was trying to help their patients. In fact, early on in the early 2000s, legal scholars were saying not only is it malpractice to not help a person through their pain, it's criminal. And doctors should be thrown in jail if they don't help people with their pain. And now everybody is so afraid of getting in trouble with their state board that they just aren't writing narcotics at all. Yet the overdose deaths are rising. Why? Because it's coming over the border. And I understand Vertex Pharmaceuticals is coming up with a new sort of pain medication that they think could mitigate pain. We need more of that ingenuity. We need more pharmaceuticals that are non-narcotic that could help people with their pain. But we also need to do something with the ridiculous crime and the ridiculous market that we have that has been, focus has been put on doctors and on pharmaceutical companies and on pharmacies. That's what they're going after when we really need to go after the cartel. We really need to go after China and all these other countries that are trying to sell what they're selling through us. So we'll see what happens. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, 1-877-DOCDALI. So you might see a headline regarding a new, very deadly virus that was discovered in Alabama. Let me kind of explain what's going on here and what we know. All right. This virus, I believe, is in animals. Okay. This is not, from what we understand, a human virus as of yet. It has a mortality rate of up to 70%, and this has been detected in the United States for the first time ever. We're being told that scientists identified the Camp Hill virus in shrews or mole-like animals in Alabama. They are concerned that if this virus is in animal reservoirs, it could very easily then transmit or mutate to a virus that can infect humans. They call it the Camp Hill virus. According to Daily Mail, It belongs to a family of pathogens called Henipa viruses, including the Nipah virus, which is a bat-borne virus that kills up to 70% of people it infects. We have never recorded Camp Hill, from what I understand, in humans, so we don't know what human death rate is. But it could have the potential to be very mortal. So the closest virus to Camp Hill, they say, that has infected humans is the Daliah virus. This did cross from shrews to humans in China. The symptoms of this virus are fever, fatigue, cough, muscle aches, liver dysfunction, and kidney damage. They say no deaths have been reported, but outbreaks of disease in the same viral family, including Nipah and Hendra, can kill up to 75% of their victims. So apparently the University of Queensland did some research. They were the ones who confirmed the virus presence in Alabama shrews. They say this indicates that shrew to human transmission can occur. They say the discovery of a Henipa virus in North America is significant, suggesting that these viruses may be more globally distributed than previously thought. Why? Well, if it's supposed to stay in animals that are endemic to a country, and now we're seeing them in animals of another country, did humans bring it over, and did they infect the local animals? So, this isn't a virus that's right now something that everybody needs to panic over. Well, I don't want anybody to panic. We have enough viruses out there. But to me, this kind of stresses that we probably need to really work on double time, triple time, quadruple time to make America healthy again. We're going to be talking about later how a study has found that the human brain may contain an entire spoon's worth of nanoplastics, little shards that are collecting in our brains and kidneys and liver, of the toxins we're exposed to, the foods we're exposed to. The best thing that we could do to avoid illness and disease and to extend our life is to have healthy habits, to be healthy. And I understand during COVID, people said natural immunity is not going to help. This sucker's going to get you. And it's true. We saw very healthy people die from COVID. They're not wrong. Ebola could take a healthy person and consume them. But still, one of your best defenses is to try to go into the war with pathogens as healthy as you can. And for those of you who do have a healthy diet, that do live a healthy life, you're noticing it. You're noticing that you aren't getting the flu as badly or COVID as badly or other things as badly. Keep it up. But the problem we have is many people think that what they're doing is safe and healthy, and it's not. RFK Jr., who may or may not be confirmed, has shed a lot of light into what we're sadly exposed to. And what is this doing to our immune system? What is this doing to our liver function and kidney function? In order for our body to do what it's supposed to do, it needs to be in tip-top shape. I think we really need to talk to parents about what we're doing with Tylenol and Motrin when their child has a fever. I hear parents all the time going, my child had a fever, and the second I saw the fever, I tried to squash it with Tylenol and Motrin. I've been doing it around the clock. Every 3 or 4 hours, I'm giving them one or the other, and that fever keeps coming back. Of course the fever's coming back. It's trying to save your child's life. It's trying to fight off the pathogens. Now, we don't want a febrile seizure of somebody starting to seize when their fever gets too high. We don't want the child to become dehydrated from the high fever. We don't want the child in pain and feeling so ill that they don't drink fluids. I actually noticed that my children would recover better if I could control their fever and discomfort with Tylenol or Motrin and get them to drink and eat. But we still have to find a balance of if your body is trying to fight something, and one of the things it does is raise the local body temperature to try to, heat out that virus and make it uncomfortable for that virus to work. Are we, do we really need to re-educate parents what we're supposed to be doing with Tylenol or Motrin? Or acetaminophen and ibuprofen? So you're going to hear more and more about, Ebola. I think there was another Ebola case, and we might have another outbreak starting, and Zika and COVID and all. I mean, there's a lot of bad things out there. And the one thing we can predict is infectious disease and epidemics and pandemics. It's going to happen. These viruses are going to get smarter and smarter and smarter. The problem is while these pathogens and these bacteria are becoming superbugs, are getting smarter and smarter, we're getting less healthy and less healthy. So some of you, I notice, are drinking certain packaged smoothies and vegetable drinks, going, this is what I'm drinking, so I'm healthy. Did you look and see some of the crap that's in some of these? Now, if you want to grab a bunch of fresh vegetables, wash off the pesticides, and you want to throw them into a blender and make your own smoothie, have at it. But if you're buying manufacturer-made vegetable drinks, are you double checking and ensuring that you're not getting extra added chemicals? Now, we're too busy. We got too much on our plate. We got too much going on. And so we're, right now just kind of looking at, whatever it is, it is. But I'd like to live as long as I can. I mean, as long as my knees and my hips, and the rest of me can kind of make it work. I want to be able to fight off. If I want to be healthy. So take a look at what you're doing. Take a look at what you're consuming. And the more natural you can, the better. Patients were telling me that, what they get their vegetables in. And I go, great, what vegetables? And they go, well, they like the, I don't want to name any frozen brand, but they'll get the frozen spinach and the frozen cream spinach or what. Look at the ingredients. Just get regular spinach. And you don't have to cream it up to get it down the gullet. Just eat the spinach, wash it off, and eat it raw. But try to, your homework is look at what you're putting in your body and see what you could do that's more fresh. For breakfast today, I'm having tangerines. You don't have to have breakfast cereal. Avoid these energy drinks. I guess there was somebody who had the Ghost energy drink and she ended up having a seizure and went into organ failure. Our bodies were not designed for a bunch of this crap we're putting in our body. So while we watch for these viruses, we need the CDC to do their job. We need government agencies like the World Health Organization to do their job. I understand the U.S. pulling out of the World Health Organization has been controversial. But I think Trump will work with them if they can ensure that COVID isn't going to happen again. And even though the World Health Organization can't necessarily ensure that, why don't we have answers? Why isn't there any responsibility? Why isn't there anybody, looking at the protocols that happened at the Wuhan virus lab to make sure that's not happening in other labs? These are the things that we need to prevent some of these infectious diseases from coming to us and other countries. 1-877-DOC-LA.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.